having spoken about the Six Nations and the events of the weekend, we'll carry on with that, because I'm delighted to say, facing the music is former Wales international Alex Cuthbert, a good friend of our show. Alex, good morning. The poor old Welsh, 48-7, Alex, hammered by England. But it's just the statistics. Like when we look at them, we can hardly believe them. Wales have lost their previous 12 Six Nations internationals. Overall, they've faced a run of 22 test defeats in 24 internationals since the end of 2023. How on earth are they going to right this, Alex? Where do you begin?
Morning, guys.
Hi, mate.
What was the Scotland score on the weekend as well? No.
I know. I mean, I've got to take it in the chin with them.
Yeah, mate. We are in a really, really tough spot at the moment. Not just obviously on the field, but probably more off the field in terms of what's going on into whether the Ospreys are surviving. I think it's really the sort of staying players that it's in their minds. But I think the crux of it, mate, I think this group of players, they're at their ceiling. I think that's just where we are. They were 11th in the world for a reason. You know, we're playing a team like England on the weekend who are third, possibly even second in the world. So that golf, it just showed. And I think that's the quality that we have at the moment. That first 40 minutes from England, gee, they were good. They were very good. But I think a lot of it was Wales made them look good, really, in terms of they lost the kicking battle, the physicality. They got absolutely smashed off the park. When they did have an opportunity, Wales, they couldn't do the fundamentals well, win the line out.
Yeah.
Quick tap properly, you know?
Yeah.
All these little things add up, and it was all in England's favour yesterday, on the weekend.
Have you seen any difference made by the Wales coach, Steve Tandy? I mean, it's his first Six Nations in charge. He was part of the Scottish setup. Get in quick before Simon does. Have you seen any difference there, Alex?
There were little shoots, obviously, in the autumn, but I didn't see any on the weekend. I think there's so many problems in all parts of the game, whether it's defence, attack, the breakdown, the physicality. We're not winning the line out and scrum. I thought the biggest mistake they made was not getting a defence coach in, albeit Steve Tandy is a defence coach, but he's head coach. They needed to get someone in to be that defence coach. Shipping 50, 70, 60 points in the autumn, that would have been the biggest work on for me coming into this campaign. And what I hear about is the environment's amazing. But when the environments are amazing, are the boys actually getting tested? Are they uncomfortable? It feels like they love it. They're like, yeah, really good. But you want to be tested in those environments. At the moment, it just feels a little bit too comfortable for me.
I want to ask Alex, and it's difficult for him being a proud Welshman, Simon. When will we ever see Wales back to the days of Barry John, Gareth?
Well, the question
Gareth
has to be,
Edwards.
why is there such a decline? I mean, we hear things about, we see the ascension of Welsh football, you know, in terms of the Welsh national side has got better at football because it was hid behind the light of the Welsh rugby boys. We see things like banning the song Delilah because it offends people. I spent some time talking to Warren Gatland when they were preparing for the last World Cup, and I found him to be quite an inspiring character, but he couldn't get a tune out of them. Why has it got to the point where you guys can't beat a rug?
You still with us, Alex?
Yeah. I think the crux of it is that obviously the buck stops at the WRU. So the WRU, over the years, I think it was around about 2015, that we used to have a national academy. So we used to have a number of players from the under 18s, 19s, 20s, all identified early on, you know, then to obviously go into regional rugby. But this national academy was the bridge to, I guess, the top level tier in terms of club and then country. At the moment, we have no national academy. We're going to lose a region, so we're only going to 3 teams. So these lads playing 18, 19s, 20s, they're coming out of under 20s and expected to play first-class rugby straight away. They're not ready. The gap is too big of quality, especially with the lights, especially with the regions at the moment in Wales. We're the bottom of the league. We have been for a number of years. And that money, I think, it probably papered over the cracks of us doing so well in that period from 2005 to 2021 was not used in the right areas. So our school systems are struggling. We're not having,
the knock-on effects, if you like.
Kids. Alex, is that academy, Alex? Is that disappeared for what? Lack of funding, lack of people just don't want to play rugby. They want to play football now. Is it moving away from your sort of national sport? What's the real reason?
Yeah, I think football is become a bit of a, well, I've got, I guess, not a bit of a problem, I guess, in terms of how big it is on social media. These football guys are stars, and I think football's so much more accessible early on in a lot of these kids' careers rather than, say, rugby. You know, football, you can just get 2 jumpers and a ball, whereas rugby, it's a little bit more technical in terms of, you know, wanting to want to play the game and have that culture. I think we've lost that definitely in our school system. But the money, those national academies, what happened is they had to use that money then to pay the boys of the success more money to keep them in Wales, which is why they put this cap of 25 caps to play for Wales. You have to stay in, you know, to play for Wales. So, and then they haven't replaced that national academy, and then they're expecting these young lads to just come out of under 20s, play regional rugby against, you know, superstars like the Leinsters and all the big South African teams that we have to do, and then straight into the international and expect them to succeed. And Warren Gatland got left with a group of players where we all retired at the same time after our success, where a load of the young players where experience is absolutely everything in international rugby. You know it from experience, Martin, in terms of how long you're in the game of football. It's everything. And when you don't have that, and you don't have a sprinkle of experience and youngsters, it's a recipe for disaster. And
Alex,
hence we've lost 22 games.
Let's help you here and get you off the subject of Wales very, very briefly. And certainly let's go nowhere near Scotland's performance in Italy. So let's talk about who might win the Six Nations outright. Is it down to England, France? And if of the two of them, who do you pick?
Well, for me, quickly, I think France. I thought we saw a lot more of the quality. I think they're obviously favourites. As good as England were, I don't think we can read in too much to play. You know, they played Wales, who are, 11th in the world. I don't think we're going to get too much out of that. That French team looked very, very solid. I saw a few weaknesses in terms of just their mindset. French, they do seem to switch off in games, and England, they did as well in the second half. It's going to come down to that last game. It really is. I think those two teams are so far above everyone else. The gap between the top 3 teams in the world and the rest is just growing with the way the game is played. You need 23, 30 world-class players now, and squad depth. Squad depth is everything, and the other nations don't have that at the moment.
Yeah. And Alex, Scotland, England, very briefly at Murrayfield. Humour me.
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah, you've won before. So
yes. Carry on, Alex. Finish your sentence.
It's not a foregone conclusion, but I think if there's a lot of pressure on Gregor Townsend, really is. I think the expectation of Scotland with that team is to win anything, but they haven't come better than 3rd. So I've been pretty critical of Scotland. So for me, I think it'd be a tough ask for them to beat England the way they're performing. The young talent they've got coming through, they've got that fear factor. I just want to see for England now that consistency throughout the tournament, and I think they'll probably have that showdown with France, which will be unbelievable in Paris.
Good. Get off, Alex. Thank you. No, I'm joking. Alex, thank you very much indeed. I think it's going to be tough for the Scots at Murrayfield, but we'll look at it in its true light post-match and see it.
I think you're going to get a good pumping.
Thanks for that.
Look forward to it.
That's very kind of you. It's 12 noon.
Well, England delivered a powerful opening statement, I guess you'd say, in their Six Nations campaign with a 48-7 victory over Wales at Twickenham. 7 tries, first half hat-trick from Henry Arundel on his first start back for England. And the result really, it deepens Wales' crisis in the Championship. They're on 22 test defeats from 24 internationals since the end of 2023. For more on this, we're joined by 2-time Grand Slam winner and Wales record try scorer Shane Williams. Morning, Shane.
Good morning, Shane. How are you?
Morning, guys. Really good, thanks. Cheers.
Good.
Excellent.
Good. You've got to start on it. Wales, pretty sorry sight again at the weekend. No real hint, is there, that they're emerging from this dark period?
No, not really. Not from what we saw on the weekend. It is a dark period. I think, it's no surprise really that there's a few issues going around in Wales at the minute, from the top right to the bottom. Everyone in Wales was quite optimistic. Steve Tandy's come in, new coach, his first Six Nations with Wales. Players are talking up, saying they're training really well and that they were going to go to Twickenham and really make it difficult for England. But they from start to finish, they just seemed to press the self-destruct button. The discipline was poor. They allowed England the front foot right from the start, no control of the game. And in fairness to England, they played some really good stuff and were in control for the whole 80 minutes. And it is disappointing, you know, for everyone in Wales. And we need to rebuild now in a short period of time. And it doesn't get any easier, unfortunately. We've got France next. So, and they were pretty special against Ireland. So, yeah, it's a difficult time here.
Shane, tell me, mate, I mean, it clearly, as you said, they're a difficult time. I mean, and there's probably no immediate fix to it. But the question I would ask you, and I don't know the answer to it, is there still the same enthusiasm and demand from the kids to play the sport as there once was?
Yeah, good question, Al. I think we are competing with football at the minute. You know, football is strong in Wales. Obviously, with the likes of Cardiff and Swansea doing particularly well, and then Wrexham coming into the fold, and you know, being owned by some real superstars that have brought a bit of focus to football. The national team doing pretty well as well under Craig Bellamy. So that does take a couple of players away from the rugby side of things. But you know, that's great. It's great that sport is strong in Wales in that sense. But yeah, it doesn't help when you're a young aspiring rugby player. You want to play for Wales or one of the regions, and every time you turn on the TV, that the national team is losing, or you know, the regions are being criticised for not performing well in Europe, and it probably does take a little bit of the shine off. But you know, we're still a very passionate country where, you know, we love our sports, and still, you know, there's a huge focus on youngsters wanting to play for Wales. But that again is another problem. I think, isn't, you know, the national team is always going to be a problem, and so are the club teams, when the pathways aren't structured properly, when, you know, there isn't this access to more players coming through. And yeah, without doubt, you know, a lot of young players are losing heart at the minute, as are the, you know, the oldies as well, and the old fans.
Yeah. So this is not just down to the coach, is it? It's much deeper than that.
No, look, you know, Steve Tandy's come in and he's taken over a side that have been struggling for some time. So it's not on the coach. You know, on Saturday's performance, you know, for me, I felt a little bit sorry for Steve Tandy. You know, your senior team, you're the national players that represent your country, and you're getting 4 yellow cards in a game. You're giving penalties away left, right, and centre. It was just a really amateur performance, to be fair, and that's not the coach's fault. Of course, it's not. You know, that's the responsibility of the players on the field, and away from that, off the field, it's the responsibility of the WRU. You know, the pathway systems, the schools and colleges, then the clubs, then the regions, then the national team, all this should have been organised, planned and prepared, let's say 20 years ago, where, you know, you look into the future of Welsh rugby and the players coming through, and all of a sudden we're panic stations, and we're going, we've neglected youngsters coming through, we've neglected the pathways. Oh, is it a surprise that the clubs aren't doing particularly well on the regions? And why isn't the national team performing? Well, that's from top to bottom, and I think, you know, the WRU, the powers of be should take responsibility for that, and more importantly, start fixing that. And it just doesn't seem at the minute that that's being fixed.